I pretty much have to approach it differently every year because the times are much different now than they were in 2006 when I started. When I started in 2006, there wasn't year-round television programming like Walking Dead, where people could get, their horror fix every Sunday night. And if there's not Walking Dead, there's Bates Motel. Not Bates Motel, it's American Horror Story. So it becomes a greater challenge every year to make the case for people to actually leave their homes and come out to a film festival setting to experience it with an audience. It's always been a challenge. I mean, this goes back 20 some odd years. It's always a challenge of, there's a lot of things out there competing for people's attention, for their entertainment. So in 2006 when we started, there was no such thing as video on demand. I mean, there was no Netflix. There wasn't no same day release in theater and that. So you really want to make that connection with folks. You want to make sure that they have a good experience, so they want to come back. And so film festivals, they do that. You can, have opportunities like we did opening night this year with having a filmmaker out, Ricky Bates, to talk about the films, and you get that intimate connection with that. And see a great film like Trash Fire, something that's very provocative and different, something that you have a hard time imagining a major studio, coming up with something like that on their own. It really takes the creativity and imagination and the skill of an independent filmmaker like Ricky. And you hope that, much like other filmmakers impressed upon him and inspired him, that he could then turn around and inspire other people as well, that this is what you could do in this medium, and sort of lay a challenge out of like, okay, how much further than you can take it, as well as he's challenging himself. So you have something like that. Festivals like ours, we often show shorts as well, and that just sort of adds to the experience. So you're really trying to add to the experience. I know there are people, this is our 11th festival, 11th year in a row doing Spooky Movie, as well as twice in this year we started a new festival, the Fantastic Film Showcase. And so there's a lot of similar, the same people come out and they get to know each other, and they, begin to sort of look forward to seeing and comparing notes and stuff like that. So it becomes like a reunion, and then, hopefully every year more people can join in. And so yeah, it's about creating something that the people in the DC metro area, or as the kids like to call it today, the DMV, those kids, and something to look forward to when October rolls around. They know that they can count on certain things, and hopefully in this area, Spooky Movie has become one of those things they count on. So that's the thing. And each year, the films that are out there are very different. In 2010, our opening night film was Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which blew people's minds. They loved it. And pretty much consistently for the next few years after that, that was the number one question or comment I would have from people, is like, do that again. Show a movie like Tucker and Dale again. Is like, that's the thing, is there's not another Tucker, and that's what makes it great, is that was a great, yes, there are other horror comedies out there, but and there are great horror comedies out there, but that was a unique to that moment experience. And who knows what other experiences out there, and hopefully people trust us in the programming and will come out and they go, I trusted them. They introduced me to, a film like Babadook. Maybe I'll come out and try something else that I may not know anything about, and sort of give it a shot. And then oftentimes those are the ones that I still hear about years later, the really, really small ones. A few years ago, we showed a film called Teenage Ghost Punk. It was like a Sunday afternoon screening. Same year we had Exist, VHS Viral. We had some really big films that year. That was the year we had Babadook also. And I'm telling you, I still hear from people about Teenage Ghost Punk, a fantastic film, but it was this tiny, tiny film that no one had had heard of going into it, and everybody who saw it, I still get asked, when's that coming out on? You have to talk to the filmmakers about that.
Cool.
So that's the, we're just now seeing a release of a film that we showed 2 years ago called The Shower, and they re-released it. They're releasing it called Killer Party. So it's stuff like that. I love to see the small things in there. And but every year it's a different slate of films. There will be only one Babadook, something that's just so perfect into itself. There's only one A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. There's only one, Tucker and Dale and stuff like that. So we, and the films that use Ricky Bates as an example, there is only one Ricky Bates. He, in all three of his features, has managed to navigate something very impressive and unique in, it's a Ricky Bates universe. There's something about his style, that you can tell, and the actors that he has in there, obviously he uses a lot of the same talent, but they're very different stories, and you can also tell that he has improved as a storyteller himself, and so the fact that he is willing to get back in it and do what it takes what it needs to take to get these films done. And so every 2 years, there's another Ricky Bates film. And, he could probably, at this point, you see a lot of contemporaries of his cashing in and doing, after their first two successful indie films, they're on directing something in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or a new Star Wars movie. It's true. You look at who's directing, Rogue One, all these things, the next Thor movie for crying out loud.
Exactly.
And that's crazy now. Are you here for Spooky?
What's that?
Are you here for Spooky?
Spooky.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Well, I'm going to see the next one.
So, you just got a little bit behind the scenes there.
Well, actually, that's actually a good transition because coming into this festival, as you said, it brings its own challenges and different things come up year to year. And, this year was no different with one of the things that are like pivotal to the festival, which is transportation. And with what's happened this year, really released recently with Metro and how that's come about and played out. Was that a concern of yours, going into this year, of that playing a factor with the folks that you knew would be making it out to the festival this year?
Absolutely. That's, we go back and forth every year. Do we do a midnight show, for example? That's a thing. We do a midnight show here. And we've had different successes and non-successes with that. We ultimately decided not to, but then AFI independently decided to program as well midnights, and they're using one of the films that we showed this summer. There's only so much of that we can control. I already know going into this that we're in Silver Spring, and I'm only going to get so many of my Virginia hardcore people over, people who will brave that bridge or come of the Metro. And, once you do it a few times, oh, okay. Well, once you drive over here, there's actually free parking after 6:30, in the evening and on weekends. Yeah, so there's actually tons of free parking. There's great places to eat, and the people in the city, once you do it once, you're good. But after getting those first few people to come over, so that's why you want to make sure that they have a good experience with that. It's not just, as I found out last week, it's not just Metro that's going on, but Rock Creek Parkway. Part of Rock Creek Parkway is closed. So it's, I have no control of this. So what I have to sort of go into it is as much as this represents the full DC Metro area, I really have to do outreach to the Maryland folks, the Silver Spring folks, and look at it. Really, I need to get the core group of people here that will support the festival, so that if there is torrential rain or a baseball game or something that's going to prevent a lot of people, that I can still count on